Hello everybody, we've got a Ferrari here today, the 812 Superfast. It's one of the coolest models that's been built in the last 10 years or so. It's got an engine in 12, probably even 800 horsepower. But a lot of owners that I've talked about it before, say it's quite terrifying to drive in terms of power, speed and everything. It really is a fast car. But there is also a convertible version. I think the convertible with such indicators is even more emotional thing, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today, we will talk about the fact that even the most advanced cars, the most expensive cars, have design defects. And the defect here is quite ridiculous. It is childish, but nevertheless, you can imagine how high-tech production is at Ferrari. I mean, everyone has seen their factory a million times, I think, because it is shown in all programs, such as Discovery, Mega Factories, etc., etc., etc. And you just treat it like some kind of icon already. But there are people, like us, who are involved in the day-to-day maintenance of these cars. And you know, in fact, I have seen so many things in almost 15 years, as long as we are dealing with these cars. I've stopped being surprised by anything. Well, for example, Maserati used to have problems there. I had a 2007 quadriporter myself, back in the day. Well, you just have something whistling through the windshield when you get up to speed. Yeah, I mean, well, it's like the wind's coming in. It was a factory defect, not the windshield gluing. I don't know about other brands and other manufacturers, but Italian manufacturers have such problems. I don't know about Mercedes, some Range Rovers. Can it be like that? Write in the comments. Maybe someone had such bloopers, but it's really interesting. What brands can still have it? Nevertheless, Maserati, personally, I have come across such a story. Here, we will have a slightly different story. But again, Maserati is not the cheapest car. It's an above-average price tag, but Ferrari is already a very expensive car. Any Ferrari model, the lowest, the youngest, starts somewhere from 300,000 euros abroad. You see, here it is X2. Accordingly, $300,000, 300,000 euros is still money. The car you see now with a V12 engine, it's not the same money at all. Accordingly, as everyone sees it, I also think that it should be a perfect and flawless car. It is, by the way, more or less normal in terms of ground clearance. There's a front suspension elevator. It's currently standing without an elevator. But in general, it is really possible to drive it. If you do not have the central part of Russia, but somewhere in the south of Russia, you can probably drive it all year round, or practically every day, if you don't feel sorry for your car. And accordingly, if you have the money to maintain it, because the more you drive, the more problems will accumulate over time. But there is one more thing. Ferrari still make handles like this. Little uncomfortable knobs, underneath which, as you can see the grub. It's all on public display. Although this one is a bit odd. And there's buttons on the inside, practically. They're starting to convert everything to touchscreen. It's clear that the vents are all mechanical, but a lot of buttons on these models are already becoming touch-sensitive. It looks a little strange, but that's okay. Italians, after all, I think that they are the most important people in design, especially in automobile design, both in interiors and exteriors. Indeed, they do very cool. But they also have joints, and the joints are so ridiculous and so not corresponding to the brand that it is just strange to see. Now that's exactly what I was talking about. Outside, as you can see, mechanics, and inside here everything is so beautiful. So, let's get back to the sheep, shall we? Look what's happening. Rear window. Well, you see, yes, the car arrived exactly with the problem that something happens, something noises. Well, in general, there is discomfort. Basically, the glass has simply come off. I mean, it probably didn't come off, it just wasn't glued. As far as I understand, this robot, which smears the glass, which, more precisely, smears the glue, and where the glass is then glued, simply forgot to put the glue in this place. And, accordingly, As they say in one movie, now the owner of the glue will come. But apparently, he didn't show up here, and there was a recall on this model just about these windows. But I think it's unpleasant, although the car is very expensive, and again, in the rank of Ferrari, it's the top line in general. What to say about the Chinese, which I honestly do not like, but because of the fact that they have a lot of joints, but they are also expensive. Of course, it's not a Ferrari, but I don't think it's good for a Ferrari to have such faults. But that's all I wanted to show you today. Let me know in the comments what you think of this story.